If you don't take yourself seriously, why should I take you seriously?
Today's guest is someone I've been wanting to have on the podcast for a while because she sits at a really interesting intersection.
One of the patterns I always see is lack of structure with creatives.
The biggest lie the creator economy tells people.
Virality does not equate to money.
One thing creators should stop doing immediately.
Don't be too emotional. Separate yourself from your work.
The business isn't ready for all of these things that you're doing. There's no neat creator-sized ribbon that you can tie over everything and say, oh, this thing did not work. This thing did not work because you weren't ready.
Structure is your regular life. When you wake up, you brush your teeth, you bath and go to work. Trust me, the ideal clients will come, the right partnerships will come, the right collaborations will come. All you just have to do is just keep at it.
Today's guest is someone I've been wanting to have on the podcast for a while because she sits at a really interesting intersection. Uchechi Ihuomah is a creative, an entrepreneur, an educator, and someone who spent years helping brands show up online through strategy, content, and storytelling. But recently, her focus has evolved because after years of building her own agency and working with businesses, she started noticing something. A lot of creatives know how to create. They know how to get attention. They know how to produce great work. But when it comes to building sustainable businesses around that creativity, that's where things often get a little sticky. And that's what led her to create programs and communities focused on helping creatives build with more structure, strategy, and intention. So today, we're talking about creator identity, building sustainable brands, monetization, structure, business, and the tension between being creative and building a sustainable business. Uche, welcome to Branding Book Club.
Hi, Della. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for saying yes to coming on our little our little show. I'm so glad to have someone as experienced as you.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. As Della has said, my name is Uchechi. I am a creative entrepreneur and educator. And all the nice things she said, by the grace of God, is who I am.
Yes. So, I mean, that leads quite nicely to my first question because how do you describe yourself? Because, like you said, you're a creative, you're an entrepreneur, you're an educator. Which of those feels most true?
To me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's something I always tell myself. I think it's even on my Pinterest bio because it's like the easiest thing I like to say is that I'm actually a creative at heart. At the basis of everything, is being a creative. What led me to be an entrepreneur was being a creative. What led me to be an educator was being a creative and an entrepreneur, right? So at the base of it, at the forefront of it, a creator would always come first. So yes, I'm first a creative, I'm first a creator. And then over time, over years and experience, it molded me or it allowed me to start experiencing like my entrepreneurial side and educator side that I never even knew I had when I was growing up. And then, we made do with what we saw.
It's good because, like you said, at your core, you're a creative. I think I've seen that from working with you for a short period of time and talking to you. I do see that it's that creative core that drives everything else. So let's get right into the little bit of the sticky bits. At what point did you realize that being creative and building a business are actually two completely different skill sets?
That's a very interesting question because when I started, I thought I knew where you were. I thought I was a critic, but that's not what you then asked it. I think for me, when it came to a realization was how I actually got into the creative space was right after school. I knew that back then I thought it was art because it was easy to say you fall under art, right? But going to school, studying mass comm, of course, you fall under, literally have a bachelor's of arts degree, do you get? And then we come out into the world. I thought it was like gallery stuff. I thought that's what art was, to be honest, like gallery and all. But I then saw myself in like the social media space as a freelancer, working with some brands. I would get a job here. My job there would allow me to work with multiple brands. And then I stopped working at a company I was working at, and I had to basically defend myself or just figure out my life myself. And I was getting clients. So the clients came, the money was coming in, it was very, very interesting. And I would say I cannot pinpoint a particular time or era
Mm.
where I realized that the entrepreneur side has to wake up. I think it just came from a place of wanting more, being better at what I already know myself as, right? And just showing up for myself, giving myself the best part of, everything I have to do.
And it's funny that you said you kind of started out art because when we grew up, it's not like that now, but I think when we were growing up, the careers were pretty much set in stones, lawyer, doctor, all those arts. I didn't even really understand them. I studied banking and finance in uni, like my bachelor's degree. In hindsight, what I was doing there, I don't know because I don't see myself working in finance. I did work in a bank for a
Yeah.
while. In my mind, I was like, okay, that was the kind of the narrative we had been fed. And I'd already kind of envisioned myself in that space, wearing my power suit and working in a nice corporate environment. But then I got in there and I was like, this is not for me. But what couldn't see any other way.
Wait,
I
yeah.
think life forced me to kind of remove myself from that. And I literally fell into marketing. It just happened and I ended up loving it. So yeah, I'm happy for you that you found it very early on because it took some of us
Yeah,
longer.
I know.
And it was like, I think a few months ago, literally, that I had an epiphany. And I just kind of remembered that from when I was young, I always go awards, best in English, best in English. In my mind, I didn't know what it was. My mom was always bragging about it. Oh, I didn't know, like, what is this one? Because, like, people are collecting best in mathematics. My own is best in English. Like, what's this going to do for me? And when I got into secondary school and I got older, like, writing those stories or comprehensions or whatever it was that we're doing there, it came naturally to me. But I still didn't know, like, what am I going to do with this? I think it was just a few months ago that I just remembered it and I was like, yeah, like this is,
Literally, it's like,
yeah, it
wow.
makes
Oh,
sense.
no, I know.
It ma-
And there's anything that's been trending online where it's like, oh, to the girls that your teachers used to write like talkative on your report card, how's your career marketing? And I remember seeing that, I was like, it
right?
makes sense now because when I was in secondary school, my report card, like, honestly, I was an average student. Like maybe I'll have like the C's and like sometimes maybe some E. But I was like skipping, like I never repeated the class, but like I was not like my sister that was like best
Yeah.
in. I was like getting through and all. And then my teachers, my report cards was like, oh, amazing, but she talks too much, but she was like, oh God, please. And then my friends could
Yeah.
not seeing that post trending, right? Actually, I shouldn't make a post about it now that I'm seeing it. Like, it just made me think, okay, that makes a lot of sense now, right? Because I liked going to school, but the way, and that's the beauty about like the creative industry now, like, it's the way we learn or the way to learn things are so different. You learn,
Yes.
first of all, by exposed to the system, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just have to put yourself in them and learn. And I realized that I'm a very like visual learner, like just put me in the situation and I'm on pick up. But if you call me to the side and you want to start putting a structured class one, class two, nah, I'm not, not how
Which is
to.
ironic because you're an educator now. So
I know. So as much as, right, I always tell my students, like anything I'm teaching you guys here now, I'm just like, just see it as a coaching, like you're just hearing from me, right? The real lessons are going to come in the field and you're just going to have to like take from what I have shared with you and then in that particular instance, make the most out of it and you definitely have the desired results in that situation. Yeah.
yeah. Speaking of creatives that you work with, let's get into the gap.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you've worked with a lot of creatives at this point. What patterns do you see repeatedly?
I think one of the patterns I always see is lack of structure with creatives, and it's very sad at the same time. They don't magnify their office as much as they should. And what I mean is that
Mm,
they tend to see creative as just another thing, right, to get by. They tend to see their creative skills or their creative talent or their resources as a let me do this on the side, right?
mm,
While keeping something more maybe white collar, more 9 to 5 ish. And while none of those things are bad in itself, is that you cannot esteem when it comes to like how you see your gigs, you cannot esteem one lesser than the other. What I
mm,
am realizing to learn is that all of these things come together on a middle ground and present the best version of you. So like I am certain that, for example, your experience from like banking and finance that you have there's some skills you acquired there that has been transferred into like this marketing and all. And that's where they miss it. So they tend to think that, well, whatever I have here, my creative skills, it's not important. It's just on the side. And I'm like, no, you can't see your creativity as like that. If you don't take yourself seriously, why should I take you seriously? And they always get really offended, like when the clients then come, which then leads to like the poor pricing, money and monetizing their skills. You don't value your time. You don't see that you're doing a 2 days project. You think it's just on set that is the project. Meanwhile, what about the long hours of like research, thinking it is currently a campaign we are working on, and I have actually not put anything down on pen and paper, but for the last 2 weeks, I have been in a deep research,
Yeah.
thinking, scrolling on social media.
Even
I
when
go
you're watching TV, you are
exactly,
thinking about.
when you're sleeping in your sleep and you are conscious,
Mm-hmm.
just what going on, like, can I catch any idea in this sleep quickly and wake up and like, you know, like all the, like the tension is always there, right? So it's because so one of the problems is the lack of structure, and then that structure kind of like seeps into other things in terms of how people see them, how they are perceived, positioning, and of course, if I don't see you, if I don't perceive you, if I don't position you, or I don't see your service as value, but I know I need your services. One of the things human beings always want to do is then underprice you, right? And creatives then get offended when clients are bringing them like small budget, and I'm like, you cannot get mad at it, right? One, there are two sides of the coin in situations like that, because one, if you're just starting out or you're just starting in that industry, yes, you get the bold, you have to start somewhere to go up. Secondly, on the other side, they don't see that you're bringing enough to the table that they should be paying you that amount of money that you think you should be earning and all. So yeah, those are the ultimate issue, like I said, is the lack of structure, and then it seeps into the monetization, seeps into the pricing, seeps into positioning and all. But yeah.
But do you think, speaking of that, because you made an interesting point about how they kind of prioritize other things over content creation. They're passionate about it, but they would kind of prioritize the work and not even think about the transferable skills from those
Yeah.
other things into their content. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think that that could also be a function of society? And I'll give some context in the form that yes, a lot has changed,
Yeah.
but there is still a bit of this is not realistic.
Mhm.
This is like if you're going to do it as a side or just do it as a hobby. Like this is not a realistic or sustainable business model. And yes, definitely it varies from person to person,
Yeah.
but you definitely need to put time and the reps in. But then I can
Mm-hmm.
also understand why it's hard, because even me just trying to do content by myself, like within marketing, but I also beginning to see a couple of gaps there, because creating content in itself is so difficult. It takes up so much energy and resource and time. But then
Mm-hmm.
there's so many things that you have to be thinking about, even when you're creating said content. It's like, okay, what is the what is the point of this particular piece of content? Is it positioning? Is it, just vibes? Because there's some of them that literally vibes. So
Yeah.
what does it do? And okay, am I doing outreach? Is it time for me to do outreach? You get there's so many little things that it's not even little, like big things that you should be thinking
Yeah.
about all at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you're right about like the society, making them not have like, why should I take this when people don't disregard me, right? Which is where like I said, at the base of my life is like I'm a creative, right? But what then forced me into being an entrepreneur is now, because ultimately, right, you have outer creatives this. The why we have all these conversations at the root of it is that people want to make money, right?
yeah.
Express their passion, and from expressing their passion, they want to make profit. So there's a connection from your passion to profit that you want to see, which then brings like this internal satisfaction of your career path, right? So what I always say, or what I then had to learn was, yes, creative is this how the society sees it, right? It's not the most interesting job, or it's not the most valuable job, as yes, to some people. One of the things I now started doing was, okay, who do I need to actually put money in my account? Like, who do I need to give me money? Because again, which is why I said there's a connection between, this is my passion, right? Who needs my passion that will give me money that I have profit for, right? When I started having these like tough conversations, is that I started identifying like my target audience, who I want to speak to. Now, it's one thing to identify your target audience. It's another thing to be like or think like your target audience. Because at the bottom of everything, right, even us creatives as individuals, the last item I purchased, right, it was of value to me. So why should I expect another person to put money in my account if it's not of value to them? But there's this emotional and sentimental part creatives have to their work that they feel like people should, that's why I keep saying, yes, your value is value, but if I'm paying you for content creation, if I'm paying you for social media, this, okay, what other things do you have to get? Which is why you then have to now start thinking like a business person, understanding your customers, that as much as a client would come in for my content creation service, right? At the base of it is that this person is likely a one-man business person, right? This person is trying to manage expenses in their business. So what am I doing that would make it ultimately profitable for them? How can I be of service all round for them, right? I'm not just only the person on content. Am I the person that takes, because again, what always clouds an entrepreneur's mind is they have too many things going on at the same time. Now that fraction of marketing, can you say, you know what, Uche, focus on your business. I will take this part. I hear you. I see your business goals. I will take it up and execute from the content side, right? But many of them always have this issue of you just want to create content and give it to the client. What exactly is the client going to do with that content you gave them? How does it drive business revenue for them? And to actually understand how it drives business revenue, you then have to now start thinking like an entrepreneur. I don't know if I am repeating. I don't know if you
Yes.
understand what
No,
I'm
no,
saying. So
definitely
you have to
understand.
start thinking of them that if this client is going to pay me this amount of money in a month, right? There has to be value for it. Baseline is revenue has to come in for the business, right? If you see it that way, you then start thinking, okay, so it's almost like you now start working for your money, that you are not just on a payroll collecting money, right? You're thinking your client sees result, there's a new product coming up. Okay, what are we doing? We're trying to launch something in September, June now. Shouldn't we have started like dropping some teasers? Shouldn't we have started planning towards it? So what creatives then struggle with in that sense is that they have the hard skills, right? But then there's the lack of soft skills. There's the lack of you don't know how to even adapt to the slightest change in the company, or we're working on a tight budget. You can plan all the shoots perfect to the T, right? When you get on that set, it's not going to be exactly as you planned it. Rather than complain and know how are you going to adapt that your client gets the results, can you be patient through to the end? Because again, the person you're dealing with, their brain is divided into 100 parts and you are just a fraction. So if that small fraction is not causing them problems, they're just going to let you go. They're not going to see your value, which is why I see most brands, they're like, I don't think I need this thing. Please just go. Not that they don't want it, but it's like if they put someone that the person, they have to think for the person. Like nobody wants that. Which is why I always advise scripts that if you grow into an entrepreneur role, first as yourself, as your business, when you start taking yourself as a business person, automatically when a business person like the client comes to meet you, you understand them because like and I always tell my clients this, don't worry, I'm a business owner too. I have a business. I know what it means to manage expenses. So I hear you, no budget is ridiculous. Bring it in. Let's see, as long as this, but just know that you have to actually bring something to the table and that we work with it. And then you're patient with for the results. That is not just only you that is it's not just you bringing the work and then it's only me that is doing the heavy lifting. It's a collaboration. Both of us have to do this work. All of the moving parts of the business all have to be functioning at the same speed to get the desired results. And also, yeah.
Yeah. I see exactly what you're meaning in what you
Yeah.
say. But the thing is, like, on the brand side as well, in terms of managing creators, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done on both sides, right? Branding on the marketing side, businesses have to come into these relationships with more intention, with
Mm-hmm.
more strategy, depth, and a sense of this is what I want to achieve
Yeah.
from this. And like you said, making sure everything else within the business is ready
What?
for that, because we've seen situations whereby the business isn't ready for all of these things that you're doing. You sales, the production, all of those other moving parts have to be in place.
Yes.
There's no neat creator sized ribbon that you can tie
Yeah.
over everything and say, oh, this thing did not work. This thing
Yeah.
did not work because you weren't ready. Do you
Yeah.
get, like, you didn't have the things in place to make this to work? And even sometimes the expectations are not realistic. I think that even on the creator side, it's hard to turn down money, especially like when you need it. But like, not all money is good money.
Good
If the
morning.
deliverables are not in line with what you can
Do.
deliver, you're like, oh, this thing is like, but I can't do this. I can't make these sales for you. Yes, there has to be everything you do has to be commercially driven, as a creator. You have to have that commercial mindset that this thing is not just vibes. At the end of the day, every business's primary objective is to make profit, is to make money.
Yes.
And if you're not able to think like that, just that fundamental thinking, I think is just, it just makes all the difference in how you approach things.
Yeah.
I think do you
I get
agree
what you
with
mean.
that?
I definitely agree with what you're saying. Like it's so again, I always tell people, which is what again, like creative at heart first, then entrepreneur. You start learning that you know what creative is nice. It's good to be a creative. It's good to know how to come up with solid campaigns, solid ideas. But what about the sales? What about the marketing? You know, what about the operational side of things? What about like, you know, because it's what's there's no successful business on this earth that you want to tell me that they don't have a solid product, they don't have great branding, they don't have marketing, don't have sales running,
Yeah.
internal systems. Like everything is working at the same pace. Nobody is faster than the other person. Everything works together for the ultimate goal of business revenue, business generating profit. And until business owners and creatives come to this understanding, they're just gonna always keep hitting that roadblock that's like, oh, why didn't so for the business owners, you have to come to that realization like I am hiring a creative, but doesn't mean that this creative is going to change my business. This creative is
Yeah.
just coming to support the many other things that are it's like they're like a piece to the puzzle. They are not the entire puzzle. And for the creators of the creatives on the other side, it's then coming to understand this business acumen that when a brand comes to you and they're not fully in place in certain things, as much as you want that money, don't even touch it because you are going to have some sleepless nights, no matter the amount of content you create, no matter the amount of
Yeah.
strategy you come with, the structure, nothing, no matter the branding ideas, the great launch products, launch ideas we have. Because if you understand a business, you can spot when a business. I always tell people this, like, I know, I run, and I have entrepreneurial like understanding that from afar I can spot a terrible business. It's like, oh, these guys are shaking on this. Like, it's not just about what the branding looks like. It's not just about how big they want. It's not about opening a nice store or something like. It's way more than that. If you're missing this puzzle, every other thing is going to come crashing down eventually. And for me, what I'll do myself as a creative is just to simply decline and say, sorry, I don't think this is a perfect fit for me. Not that I don't need the money, but there's no amount, that money is not going to, I'm just going to, no, it's not worth it. At this stage, at
Yeah,
this,
there's also the reputational aspect of it. Just say, oh, these
yes,
people, what they're doing isn't working, or
yes,
they're not
yes,
effective.
yes. You have to save the name at some point. Yes.
Yeah. What are the biggest misconceptions you think creatives have about what building a business actually involves?
So I mean, I would say from well, one of the biggest misconception is people think you need to figure everything out once, right? Because the world has really shifted. I don't think in our parents' generation and older generations, people at our age in their 20s, early 30s, particularly had businesses that they were doing, right? Everybody had like a collar job type of, most people rather had a collar job. But now social media has come like a level playing ground. And we then tend to think that, oh, okay, I need to start my business this year and I need to be Forbes 30 under 30, which by the way is not, it doesn't look like the best award to collect now, but being, 'cause you get you get what I'm trying to say. Like it's like the one of the biggest misconception is trying to figure out everything at a go. I remember seeing a post circulating and I was like, this is so true. An average business, if I as I'm staying like this, right? I'm grateful for what I've done with Contently, but I believe that Contently is one of the many businesses I would have by the time I get to like an A50 age. I would look back and see, oh wow, I was in a better state mentally. I was more aware of myself. I was more matured to run my business in maybe 40s or late 30s, like just when I'm more older, right? Because that's when it's like I have more experience, I have more people in my network, and I can do things better and more confidently compared to when I was in my 20s when I started my creative business. So that is one of the biggest misconceptions. In fact, this misconception again trickles down to the any other problem anybody wants to come up with as the major
Yeah.
exception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just social media that amplifies everything. I think every single one of us is guilty of it. We don't show the grind enough. We don't show the work. We don't show the everyday blood, sweat, and tears. We don't show the grime. Our natural inclination is to show when you're on vacation, you see the stories are late, the posts are coming constantly. But your everyday life, through to be able to afford said vacation, it's not shown.
Exactly. But one of the issues, I agree, like social media is one of our biggest misconceptions, right? But can we be actually honest to that? Even us, we really cannot share everything. Like, there's no amount of. As much as I want to
Exactly.
share my growth with you,
Exactly.
like, there's some things in my business right now that I cannot start talking about it
Yeah, because
because
it's counterintuitive. You are trying to inspire confidence. Not
even aside from inspiring confidence, it's just like, man, like, can we just keep it moving? Like, the time I'm used to start talking about this thing, I'm going to achieve 10 other steps. So why am I dwelling on this? But there's just this satisfaction as human beings that we get from like achievements, right? Where maybe like, the store opening, but
and
you
documenting achievements.
yes, they want to document our achievement, they want to document the failures on the other side, right? And it's just human beings. Like, I don't know, you cannot blame people for that. It's just
No,
coming
definitely
together.
not though. I think it's all of us. I can't
Yes,
even
yeah, because even me too, like when I go open my socials, I want to share the best bit of my business. Like I want to share
yeah.
like or see us working with amazing clients. I'm not going to share to you the low moment. I'm not going to share it the time when the client fired us. I'm not going to share to you when I did not know how money was going to come in. I'm not going to share that with you because people on the internet, if I share it with you, will you solve my problem?
Exactly.
Because you're not transferring. If I start sharing my problem, will you solve my problem? You're not going to solve my problem. So, it's cute. Let me solve my problem eternally and I'll share the solved
The
problem.
lessons.
Yes, I'll share the lessons. Yes, lessons learned running my business. And then
Oh
you
god.
can do what you want to do with that from there.
Let's go back to creatives for just a second. Just talking about mistakes and
Mhm.
learnings. What's the most common mistakes or mistake you see creatives make that
Mm,
even they don't realize they're making?
Common mistakes they don't realize they're making. I mean, I think one of the mistakes creators always make is it has to still go back to this value driven
Mm.
part of it. Because I see it a lot. Like I coach people, I mentor people up close, people I see people in my immediate circles, like communities around me and all right. And they want something, right? Maybe they want like a better outcome of their lives as creatives, but you don't necessarily see them like taking the actual steps to fix that issue, right? I remember having someone coming to meet me about starting. She wanted to start offering like social media management services, and I was like, "Oh, that's really, really, really cool. Let me see your rate." And everything she showed me on her rate was very like how will I explain it? Like she just wrote 4 posts a week, caption writing, something, and then she just slapped money on it.
Yeah, it's
I'm just
not value driven at all.
not valid. But like, okay. And then she was expecting the client potential client she was speaking to like respond fast and pick one. I'm like, girl, can you afford that thing you just wrote on that list? Like your business. Like, yeah, and I always tell people like, can you well in most cases, like most of the products or services we offer as creative, we ourselves, right? We are not our target audience, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. But to your target audience now, are you now value driven? So again, is that part one of the mistakes of which leads to my second point of them being overly emotional to with their creativity and all right. You feel like people can't you see that I'm talented? Can't you see
Mm.
that I do
Can't you see the reach? Can't you see the
can't you see the lead? Yeah. Do you know the creativity? Can't you see the aesthetics? Can't you see the design? Can't you see the grid? Okay, I can see it, but how does it convert? You understand? And when the clients are not giving them exactly what it is that they want, right? They start feeling like this client let me go, this client's not let me go. And one of the biggest or one of the major mistakes, I kid you not, dollar, is like this lack of soft skills, especially in a country like Nigeria. Let me tell you why. Like it took me a while to learn this, and one of the mistakes I made at the early stage of my business was I live in Nigeria. My business is run in Nigeria, right? And one of the people I was always looking to inspiration for were agencies in the US. Now, there's
Mm.
nothing wrong with that, but I realized that the cultural context is not the same.
The
I
systems are
cannot be
very
promising.
different.
It's different. It's so different. For a very, very long time, it felt like I was hitting a roadblock. Till one day, I was like, you know what? I don't know. Actually, to be honest, I won't say I don't know. It was actually God that saved me, right? And it just came to me that year that one of the goals, I remember listening to some sermon. It was randomly actually was the sermon. The man was like, better buy wisdom. And I was like, okay, I need to actually pay someone to teach me marketing. And the person that I need to pay has to be in Nigeria, has to be the person that understands this market. I
Yeah.
cannot buy one more American coach course again. No, I'm not doing that again. First of all, the currency was not favoring me. The realisticness of the Nigerian, they don't get Nigerian market respectfully.
Mm-hmm.
And I found one coach, Trisha Bees, and just the first class, my mind was like, Jesus Christ, this is what I have seen. I don't get Nigerians. So he took me through one of the classes was through like neuropsychology, like how people think marketing wise. And I started understanding that, oh wow, this is different too. There's a bit of Nigerianness to it. A Nigerian client will pay you money, right? You guys agree, okay with money. But see, underneath that your deliverables, 10 deliverables, underneath it is 50 deliverables. And you actually have to be okay with it. This is not scope creeping, I promise you. It's not, they're not trying to take
Yeah.
advantage of. It's just like the way the client pays you money, you have to see yourself as you are now in the business. Like we need to win. Like we're a team now. What the team? What do we have to do as a team to get there? Oh my God, who is passing the ball? Oh, Uche is down. Cool, give me the ball. Let me pass the ball for Uche. Like you need to have that, and they don't have that. They just feel like, "Oh, I'm here on this. I don't, and I get it, right? But again, it's just a. So I started learning to understand to adapt to my Nigerian people, to Nigerian customers, and I really really like it. I'm always like, see, everyone can say things about Nigeria. Like I love the Nigerian market. There's so much, it's so untapped. There's so much resources. There's so much like
Yeah.
raw potential, skills wise, even money, like is there and all right. Because the average Nigerian spends money on what they like whether they have the money or not.
Yeah.
You get they always buy their food, they always buy their ashwabi, they will buy the things that make them feel good. Right. So if you're able to key into that psychological part of it, I promise you you're going to be skedaddling, like you're going to just be seeing clients. And also emotional skills is one of the things that creatives always fall short of. Like you are not emotionally intelligent to see a business. Like you can't even empathize with a business owner that this person has run her business for 12 years, or he has run this business for 8 years. He has had like 2 or 3 startups that have failed, and now he's here again. What do you think is going through his mind? He needs people that are with him till the
Mm.
end. So can you promise that, loyalty on the job, right? They don't have that. So soft skills are something that always get creatives ahead. Communication. Most Nigerian creatives lack communication. I always tell people, if you're working, just give me the when can I will not message you until the day you tell me that be ready. Give me a realistic time, like communicate with me. Because again, the creative industry, right? Our services is not which again, another point is that the service we are rendering, so something a friend of mine taught me so many years ago. He says, which you're not a product-based business, you're a service-based business. And the service-based is now like a creative service, right? Your services cannot be touched. Literally, it's not tangible in the hand that you take your phone and buy this iPhone and you can see the value of my money here and all. I cannot feel I can't touch your services. I only have to feel your services. So you have to do everything in your power to ensure that from the start of that business through to the end, your client feels heard, they feel seen, like they're getting a sense of their money. So from the time they contact you, how you're responding to them, your systems, your processes, how often you communicate with them, like you have to stay on point with it, right? So you reach out to your clients, you check on them, give them weekly reports. Like always be in fact, still on them that they get tired of hearing from you, right? Because that's
Yeah.
the only. It's very easy to send money to someone now, and the person can ghost you. They're not ghosting you. They are working, but they did not just tell you that, oh, Uche, I'm working on your project, so you can expect it by Monday. If you don't communicate, their mind will start, and therefore the average Nigerian, that scam is not
They
a
scam me.
thank you. Like it's also if I give you money right now, come on, open your phone and say hello, payment received. Thank you. Like you'll be expect tell me the next step, and also at least that Nigerian experience of seeing this thing would at least relax. But some creatives work with clients, they pay you maybe today's Friday, and they won't hear from you for 2 weeks. Even if you're working on the thing, you just have to tell them, oh, this is where I am. It's going to take us a week to do this. Next one will take us another week to do this. You can expect to hear this. And as you're doing those, you just be giving up the type which you're just checking with you that things are going smoothly. Expect to hear from us. Just follow through and also that's the. I mean, there's a lot more, but off the top of my head, that always come easy to me.
Yeah, I don't think it's just in Nigeria. I mean, I've worked with Nigerian creators as well, and I've experienced my my fair share of things. But I don't think it's just a Nigerian thing. Working here in the UK and working with
Mhm.
creators and stuff, it can be a very difficult thing to navigate, and it's not. I don't think it's talked about enough because I made a video about this recently. It's like I think one thing that people generally don't do is a personal audit. We're
Mm,
so quick to say these clients, they're too extra, or I don't want to work with these people again, or whatever the case may be. And those things may be true. But have you thought about how you could be better for the next opportunity? Because
yeah.
those bad habits, those whatever, those things, you still carry it into the next year and then you continue. Because I feel like creators that have longevity with brands and have sustainable relationship with brand or affiliate, whatever the case may be, is because not only have they brought value, but also because they are pleasant to work with. You know, because even if you are bringing value but you're giving me headache, that is not
Yeah,
a
I'll
positive outcome.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would categorize that as, oh, this was a great thing. Let's do it again. Might just like, okay, at least
No
we
matter
got
what, yeah.
something, but let's
And
move on.
just always have this like, if it's not me, another mistake. If it's not me, nobody else. No, if it's not you, 10,000 other people.
Do people do that? That there are too many.
Like,
I know. Do people actually think that way?
that's all we like. The headache would just be finding the hay, but please
Yeah.
never think that it's only you. If you don't work with, see, trust me, it's other people that will get the job done. I even started learning that again because as a creative director, one of the things I started doing was when we start planning production for our clients, we'll reach out to vendors and be like, oh, please, I agree I'm reaching out to you really late, right? But unfortunately, my clients reached out to me late. They disbursed money late. I have to deliver this project. Can you print this thing out for me? I need it tomorrow. Ah, madam, it's not possible. So, okay, no problem. Thank you. By the time I message 5 other vendors, one would always deliver within 24 hours.
And the
So I
ironic
learned,
thing is that when you're now like, and this thing, sorry to cut you off, I just remember something. And this usually happens at peak periods or whatever. You know how December, everyone is
yeah,
always doing shakara and doing that. And then January, they'll be messaging you, just checking to see if there's any work. But
checkers.
it's not even, if you can't even deliver it, that's fine. And if you're honest about it and you say, okay, I can't do it, this is why. But the way you do it, you say it as well
Also,
matters. If you just,
yes,
yeah, if you
yes,
just
yes,
brush it off and say, no,
yes,
you know,
yes.
or don't even
Thank you
respond.
for saying that because this thing that happened to me recently, I had 2 potential vendors, right? However, the person that could not deliver, amazing person, right? But the truth was that they were actually busy and their business had grown to a stage that I'm reaching the person, but the person that will move the needle is the staff, maybe the customer service person. And it's okay. He told me, Uchechi, like, I really want to do this, but I cannot pay them to handle this. Please, can you reach out to this customer person? They'll answer you. And honestly, I don't even have the bandwidth. The other person I was messaging was already replying me, don't worry, man, we'll do it. And it's like, you know what? I didn't realize that for the level you are as a business person or the level of your project or whatever, there are people that are your that level too. So what I just then need to do is to actually find my
Yeah.
people, find your client, find your tribe, the people that can deliver in 24 hours. Not that it doesn't mean that the person that delivers in 48 hours or 2 weeks is not skilled, right? It's just that maybe they've grown to a level of stage in their career or their business that, to be honest, like, come on, that if they don't get your deal as a client, does not make them a bad business. Trust me, they have to prioritize what is right for them. So yeah.
But then one of the examples you gave is that you spoke to someone who was probably the business owner, and then the person told you to reach out to
Customer,
customer care. You don't do that. Like, it's your business.
yeah,
Do you understand? Even if you're so busy, it's your
busy.
responsibility
Yeah.
to reach out to
Mhm.
that person to say, okay, reach out to this person. Even if the person then comes to you, but putting
Uh-huh.
extra steps in place is simple, basic marketing or like business principles. If the point of entry or the barriers to entry are high,
Yeah.
you're just making it difficult. So we were talking about structures and systems
Yeah.
for creators as well. What practical steps can creatives take to build systems and structures that
Hmm.
help them create value? Because we've spoken a lot about creating value. Help them create value and monetize consistently.
Yeah. Okay. So I really want to tell the creative out there that's probably listening to us right now that when you hear the word system and structure, don't fret. I know that when we throw out systems and structure, it can feel like a, you know,
Whiteboard.
in fact, I don't know. Let me tell you what when one of the first times, one of the videos I used to have when I thought about systems and process and structures. I don't even know all these cartoons where they will want to like read a scroll and the scroll will like run down from top to bottom.
Oh
Yes, that's how I used to be.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's like, what is this long tax and all right? But till I started like getting in depth in these systems, that I realized that, oh, systems is actually what you, when as human beings, when you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you dress up, you go to work, you have breakfast, you go for a lunch break, you clock in, you clock out, you take the bus back home. Like, that's actually what system is. And if I can write out that process, write it out for an aspect of my business that someone else can come and do it as I do it, then I'm putting structures in place. So the first thing to start is to know, first you have to come to an understanding of the aspect of your businesses. So we're talking about your sales, we're talking about marketing, we're talking about like your finance, hiring. I don't know, I hope I'm legal. Yeah, there are many parts of business, right? But for a creative, just start easy. You don't have to do everything all at once. Knowing the aspects would help, then taking it step by step. So, for example, sales, right? You want to ask yourself, like, what exactly am I offering? Because where most creatives always miss it, because you cannot create systems and structures for when you don't know what you're selling, right? So, what are your products? What are your offerings? You have XYZ skills. Productize your services that you can pinpoint and say, this is plan A, plan B, plan C, or this is menu one, menu two, menu three, or this is the type of food we offer. We sell swallow, we sell different types of rice. We sell like, you have to productize them like that. You don't walk into a restaurant and you say, cook anything. I'm hungry, give me food, right? They sort of like present a menu and you look at, oh, I want to have the steak, I want to have the Chinese. You actually need to do that for your business. That when people come in, you say, this is what, when you're able to do that, right? So say, for instance, you walk into a restaurant, I walk into your business, where's your menu? Where's your food menu? Where's your service offering, right? When you have that, you present it to your client and you allow your clients to pick. Once a client picks one, because you already know that, okay, we sell rice, we sell chicken, we sell this. You already know that a restaurant is not going to buy Chinese menu when they just make rice and spaghetti. I don't know if you understand, because that is what they're offering. So for your own self, how can you then get that to your businesses when you're offering certain types of services? So you're offering social media management, content creation, strategy, I guess. This, let's say for instance, these 3 or 5 services are on your menu. You then create systems around it. And one of the best things to do is to offer services that are kind of like intertwined. So you're not wasting resources. Again, let me use this restaurant's analogy. I don't want to say I'm selling rice and spaghetti or jollof rice and spaghetti or jollof rice and no, jollof rice and chicken and jollof bag and chicken. Yeah, follow this train of thoughts, right? If you come to my restaurant and you see that it's jollof rice, the base of those 2 meals is tomatoes. So I can always use tomatoes, granite oil, onions. The difference, the variables is not going to be the spag, it's not going to be the rice. But they are almost made the same way. So if I start selling, oh, we also make amala here. No, you're going to have to now start going through that hassle of turning down. So for a creative start, just niche down to a couple of similar services that cut across themselves. Okay, I can do branding and website building, because when I'm done, I can easily, literally, you're designing.
So they feed into each other.
Yeah, they feed into each other, right? And then you create a structure around that. You actually have to start there. While you might be passionate, you feel like, oh, you can also do that. Yes, it's good, but you need to start. You need an access point entry, right? And that access point entry is what's going to give you like the authority, right? You come in, these two can feed off each other. You have your menu, you present it to your clients. This is how you offer and all. And then when you're able to do that, you then start stepping down. Okay, if I'm supposed to get a client for brand strategy, how do I want to go about it? First thing I want to do is I want to speak to them on a call. I want to get the idea or ideate. And after ideating, I'll sketch. After sketching, I'll start drawing in whatever software platform you use. I send the first draft. You see that you start writing out systems and process. That's literally it. So when you finish with client A and client B comes, all you just have to do is rinse and repeat what you did with client A. Now, where you now translate that thing into systems and processes is where you can actually document it. And when I mean document, just simply open like your notes, a doc, a Google Docs, right? Or any plain sheet, just write it down. Client 1 enters. What's the first thing that will happen when client 1 comes? Client, so if Dollar is my client, her first entry point, website, okay, she fills this one, she comes here, I reply her, we get on this call, I send this. You start writing all of those things out that. It's easy for you to do that. Because in most cases, you would forget. And this always happens a lot. I actually forget the next step for a service. But what saves me is, oh, I wrote it down, then I'll go back and check. Oh, okay, do what I'm supposed to do at this stage of the business. Let me send her this proposal. And then I have the proposal template. You use the template. So when you just do it, again, you cannot finish everything at once before you say, I want to launch my business by December 2026. So I need to know start the business first, and as you're doing it, you'll be learning. So it's like it's like you're in a street center, right? One end is that you're learning, you're exposing yourself. The other end is that you're also, as you're learning, you're making corrections, and you see that it's going hand in hand. You offer a new type of service. You see how people perceive it. Okay, yes, we want to add this. Okay, no, we're not going to do this. We drop it. So systems and structure, you just have to give yourself to it. Most of the businesses we see right now that we love to have systems and processes, they didn't have them a year or 2 years ago. They adapted with their customers that were coming, the changes that were happening in their business, and actually making intentional effort to write it down. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that. But you've spoken on kind of the consideration and conversion stage of things. But I'd
Mhm.
like to speak on positioning, right?
Okay.
Because we still hear of a lot of creators who struggle to monetize, even those with large audiences. In fact, this is a two-pronged question. Why do you think a lot of creators still struggle to monetize? That's number one. And then what can they put in place? How can they structure their brand and their content? Content is the strongest representation of your brand.
Yes.
Like, how do you structure these things to basically position yourself as a cash cow and get
Mhm.
people to be coming in, the right people?
Yeah. So, I mean, what I would say is, so for a creator out there that might be listening to this podcast right now, and you're asking, and this question resonates with you, right? Where do people know you first? Like, what's the first entry point for your brand or for your business as a creator? So, I'm going to use Instagram as an example, right? If you say you're using your Instagram as that entry point, currently right now, if I come on your Instagram, can I identify what exactly it is you do? Most creatives are so talented, but people, we don't know their talent because they don't even talk about it. They just feel like, you should take a look at my page and know that, of course, I do content. No, you have to post about it. Your page alone self has to speak about it. I know sometimes as creators, we want to have our nice pages, we want to keep things very clean and cute. But see, for me, I'm of school after that. I am on Instagram to make money. I'm
Not
not
here for
like,
vibes.
vibes can come in, but at the front of core of it, you see me talking about my business. You see me posting about my work. You see me posting about, yes, I will post when I travel, but I will still post my work, right? And if you're feeling like, oh, but I don't, okay, then start a business page, right? Which is why I have my business page, right? Then if I start my business page, I am public about what I'm doing on my personal page and my business page. I have my personal brand, I have my business brand. I'm building those two things on the side, right? What are the service offerings? You see what we're offering at the agency. You see the nice, we'll make our service work with us services. You see the client profile we did. We'll put everything on the page, right? On the other hand, on my personal page, I'm going to be showing up. And I feel like creatives always want to, this used to happen to me. I was in this trap of like, I was trying to keep things professional, keep business, keep personal. But see, respectfully, dead that idea in your first early stage of your business. You are your business. You get like, you are the price. If you drop dead today, right? That business will close. So why are we acting like there's a separate entity here? So even how you show up, even how you come out online, your personal appearance, your speech, which events you go to, how you connect with people, what you post online, right? You cannot say you want to work with, I don't know, restaurants, or you cannot say you want to work with bars or something, but then the type of content you post does not align with what you say you want to do. Do you get
Yeah.
your business? You are your business, and you are what you post, right? You cannot say you want to work with a celebrity, but then you're one of the first people to bash celebrities on the internet. Why do you think a celebrity wants to hire you? Maybe if, as a celebrity stylist or a celebrity photographer, but the first two posts on your page or the last three posts on your page is saying something very negative, or we always see your tweets talking about people. And also, when you come to this understand that, see, my business is me and my business, you take everything seriously. If you then even identify what your values are and stand for it, and every other thing would fall apart. So if you want to do that, start a business page, go to your bio, put what you are. I am a social media, the social media. Again, optics. Look at where you're currently starting at. If you feel like I can do what I'm doing from my personal page, right? That's fine, because some creatives what you just even need to do is just to let people know that, this is who you are. Like, it was not even intentional, but one of the things when I knew that I had actually solidified what I do, that people know me just know that, oh, I know Shisha works in creative content. Just meet her first. Then
Yeah.
she will not. You need to let the most random person in your family member or your village knows that Uche and content, Sha, all this social media. Just meet her. Even if they don't, that's like, they need to know exactly what you're doing. So some of us as creators, people don't even know that. Oh, Uche, so you can actually run. You can do ads. You can create content. I didn't know. You don't talk about it. Or how am I going to? No, and there's always this thing I've learned of the minute you start doing things and you give yourself to that system or give yourself to the process, you're going to learn along the way and you figure there's no right launch like this or don't launch like that. Just start.
Yeah.
Make it your mind. Choose to show up and choose to keep learning. And everything will eventually fall in place.
Yeah, because I do see that because there's always so much noise online. Oh, this is the way to do it. This is what works. But I don't think there's ever one set way to achieve the same outcome. You've
Yes.
done it, it worked for you. That's
Yeah.
fine. And the only reason you know it worked is because you tried. If you don't try
Yes.
something else, you
Yes.
don't know if that something else will work, will
Works.
you?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Like we said earlier, you sit at a very interesting somewhere in between. So as someone who sits on both sides of this, you mentor creators, you teach them, you also work with brands. You help brands get the best possible deals from creator partnerships, and then you help creators get their bags as well. How do you navigate that balance? You're
Question because
already laughing before I even ask the question, because how do you navigate that balance?
this was like this was a tussle this week, right? A client of ours needed a designer, and this designer is like one of my G's that I always like, I give advice, and I'm like, well, this is our budget. If I'm going to go, I'm going to have sure. I want you as the creator to push back. I say no, and respectfully, one of them pushed back and said, I respect that, no problem, no problem, but. To be told, this is my client's budget and I cannot. So what I always try to do, it's very, very dicey. One, we always advise the client, see, you have to put out money for this thing. There's no shortcut around it. You need to drop money. And the way creators work is creators are one of the people that are easy to work with if only brands knew this, right? So creators, how I explain it, like we like to, because we want to express our creativity, right? Part of expressing our creativity is that your brand can just be in our daily life this thing. I might go for like I remember sometime in December, I went for like a interactive play and all, right? And I made content about, they didn't pay me, but I just went there, I was like, oh, I'm really enjoying myself. And I was recording and then set up, I came and put the video together. Look, see, I've created free content for these people and they didn't know what happened. And then it's such an interesting generation of Gen Zs and millennials, right? We like the idea of experience, branding, great customer service, things that already like they are making our sensory exciting, right? So if as a brand you can present to a creator something that is exciting, or you're launching so and so business, like, oh, this is really, really cool. Well, the minute they're able to buy into it, most likely they would be ready to work with you at your level. It's clients that quote, well, not in all cases, it's some people that people don't, when they don't buy into your vision, they're always like, nah. First of all, I work with brands that are key into their vision. I love their ideas. I love their products and all right. And the client comes and say, this literally happened this week. We need a designer to do something for packaging. This is the amount for the package. And I said, okay, no problem. I wrote everything out, sent a brief out to create designers that I knew that, oh, this is what we're looking for and all. Let me know your cost. And everybody sent in their cost. And I was like, oh, see, this is what the client wants. This is how much we have. This is how much we have. Do you want to do it and all? And one pulled out, and then the other one that was very interested, we're having the conversation. I was like, okay, tell me about it. And she was like, see, Uche, you know that this work that we're doing is branding, is design. The client would actually make, like, it's a one-time thing. If we do your packaging right, it's forever. Your brand, 10 years from now, you could still be using that packaging and be generating revenue and all. So when she made that defense, I was like, exactly, now you know the value you're bringing to the table. So in that instance, I went back to the client. I was like, you're just gonna have to pay this extra one money, right? Because the person that I'm working with on this project knows the value she's bringing and she's going to do it very well. So in that instance, even me explaining it back to the client, I know that your budget is tight, but you're going to have to bring that money out because if we do this wrongly, we're going to run at a cost. So it's very, very dicey. I'm not going to lie, because sometimes sometimes I feel guilty that I teach creators charge your what, and then sometimes, well, we have a budget, but the truth is we do have a tight budget. What I then expect is in that tight budget we have, do you see yourself in it? Because sometimes some brands tight budgets are what creators are praying for, right? Like, let me even get this type of a deal. So it's up to you to know if this, and I cannot make that decision for you. You have to be the one as a creator to make this, which is why I said that. In as much as I coach you guys of, oh, I teach you 12 weeks, you come into the program, you learn and all, right? When you go out into the playing field, you're going to take all the things I've said to you. Yes, price or price and all, but in that instance, there are some jobs that you need to take that would propel you to your next 10 jobs. There are some jobs that you just need to put it out on your portfolio so that people can see that you do this type of thing. There's some jobs that you just need to take that people should see that, oh wow, Uche, you did this. Amazing. I would come and meet you for it. So there are different nuances to it, right? I'll give a perfect example. One of the first jobs I did on a creative campaign was I we didn't earn a lot from it, but I know that we had to do it to prove to people that we can do it. And that particular project trickled down till this very day. It's still bringing people, because when I want to tie trace it back, it always traces back to that project. So in that instance, am I going to be telling myself charge your what? I would have never gotten that job that led to the other. So that's why I say you have all this knowledge I'm arming you with. When you get out into the world, you now analyze the variables that, well, this is a different branch. If I do this brand project, I can put it up in my portfolio. I can also add on it and then to bring more clients. So that one is like, it was not just the, but doesn't mean that the next client that will come, I'll now charge you that former client's projects, right? You add on top. Then the next one I'll come again. That's how it keeps going on. So it's a tussle. I'm not going to lie, for me as a creator, as a creator. Well, it is. I literally had one this week. I have another one waiting for me next week. But ultimately, I tried to satisfy the client and satisfy the designer. It's a lot of emotional intelligence work, actually. Quite frankly, it's actually a lot of emotional intelligence work, which is why I said soft skills is so important. Negotiating, right? Knowing how to negotiate. Like, because sometimes creators, right? I always tell them, see, this work I'm bringing to you, right? I know maybe it's not what you said. What I can guarantee is that this client, they look like they want to pay this money for the next 6 months consistently. Take that information and do with it what you want to do with it. So yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of your communities and your programs, you've built communities and educational programs around this work, right? And I'm curious about that choice because you could have just kept building your agency and just doing your thing and making your money from that. What made you want to create spaces for creatives rather than just serving clients? I'm just curious about the trigger points.
Yeah. So for me, I have this really mantra or like philosophy or like something I live to, that I have to let everything. I ultimately, my overarching goal in life is to die empty. But whatever age that comes is to actually die empty. So I have this idea, or I have this thing I need to do. I tend to just do it, just get out of the system. Because I've learned that when I do things like that and get out of my system, I may not be seeing how it's connected to my vision right now. But what I've learned is when I do these things, right, it's just, again, my life is connected. I've come to realize that nothing is by coincidence or by accident. So to myself, I have to honor myself as an individual, that when I have this passion or when I have this thing within me, just let it out. What is going to do for me, using programs for other businesses or not, or teaching other people just for themselves, if that works, fine. But I cannot have something within me and keep it. It's it
Yeah, I
then
love
feels like,
that.
yeah, it then feels like a stagnant water. You know, when the stagnant water, the place is stinky, like gutter, basically, and also it needs to move. Like, just go. Whatever the outcome is, this project can just get it and keep going. So that's how I live generally as an individual. So this is like so it automatically means that yes, I could be running my agency and be moving, but I had the desire. People keep asking me, and it's like, just put this into a structure. Who knows if this is what you retire with or not?
Yeah, I
If you get,
love that. I love that analogy.
I really, really thought I always had been doing it, but I needed to upgrade it and bring it better in a better way. And I remember when I eventually took the step to do the taster class last year, August, when I was recording the class dollar, I was like, oh my God, I feel so good. Like, it just felt like, wait, this is what I needed to happen. You know, when you're doing
Yeah,
something, like, I was just recording the first class. I was like, oh my God, this is what I need to do. This is why I've been feeling like a roadblock
I
for the
love
last.
that.
Oh, gotcha. It's like when anything comes to mind, like, okay, just keep it going, keep it going. It's eventually you see why you needed to do it or not.
Yeah.
Comes in, just let it.
And it's crazy because, when I was doing my research and just kind of seeing what you've done with Creative Business Labs, even from the first one, you had some great students on there, a lot of creators that wanted to learn from you that you've probably worked with in some form. And like you said, all of these things feed into each other, don't they? So it's very interesting to see
Yes,
how
yes.
how those things navigate. How do you build trust with potential students?
Mm.
Because there's something interesting about being an educator in a space where a lot of people have been burned by programs that overpromise. We see lots of them online, so many courses, so many digital programs. It's just like an oversaturation of basically information or help you scale or whatever. How do you build that trust with potential students?
So one of the things I try to do, which again would, like I said, is to let everything out, is even when I'm actually working as in my agency, right? I always put out our work, and I believe that that's the biggest trust.
I
I'm
think
not saying
so.
coming to CBA for cho. Like, look at my page, we are working. Do you get the evidence there? So just by me putting out my work that we did this project, we worked with this client, this is how we did it, these are the results. Come on, like I don't know what other trust you want me to do. I like let the work speak for itself. So for people looking to build trust, just show workings, just put your work out. And why people get burnt out, again, entrepreneurs or marketers will know this. You need to know when people are marketing that people are keying into your psychological. The last thing you bought, you not really need it, but the way they sold it to you, you're like, I don't want this thing now. I know. Like, I mean, I know that as a marketer, that people always key when somebody's like, oh, that's how I made 800,000 on a Monday morning, on the first of when you're starting. You're going to think about your life. Right?
You're gonna be like, let me buy this thing.
Marketing
I need
already
it.
really applies it to your psychology, right? So what I always tell people, right? See, and people actually buy people's courses for the weirdest reasons. Let me tell you this: like, people buy people's
I've
courses
been
for the
there.
ones that
Believe
actually.
me, I've been there.
Yes, the buy courses for the way they buy courses because they want to feel like, we are doing something. So I always advise people, see, before you buy, if you're coming to my program, you have to make up your mind that you have to do the work. Because if you come into this and this is also my mantra, I have not bought any products in a while because I've not finished taking the ones I have. And it's like, before I buy a product, I ask myself, will I see it through to the end? If no, don't buy it. Don't buy it. Because that's when you now oversaturate yourself. Like, see it through to the end. Join the class. Just commit. These things are basically like 4 weeks, 12 weeks,
Implement what
even
you've
less.
take the
Just
time to
commit.
implement what you've
And
learned.
because what did they say? How does the saying go? Wisdom is knowledge applied. Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wisdom is knowledge applied. So you have the knowledge, but because you've not applied it, that's why it looks like your life is. So what makes a wise person different is that they got some information, they applied it. You did not apply the information. So how do you expect to get the results when you did not um apply what you learned? So I tell people, don't come into my program if you're not ready to apply work, because it's a lot of work. Half of the things you learn now, I kid you dollar, there's a course I bought maybe 5 years now. I think is now that course might be working for me. I think it's now that course for me. It's a course on partnership. I took it, I wrote that. I was not, I guess maybe I was not ready, but right now I can see that the things I learned from that course is helping me now. And also, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of your program, what does success look like for someone who's gone through your program? Not the headline version, the version that actually matters to you
Mm-hmm.
as a person.
I cannot say, but one of the greatest version that I genuinely that made me so proud has to be one of my students for my very long time coaching program. And I remember her coming into this program with her last money because she was saying that she paid the last of her money. And she came in and then she learned a lot about pricing and she upgraded her services. And now she has gone on to do like her own business, her video editing agency. She teaches people video editing agency. And I'm just like looking at these students like, this girl came into my program and she learned prices. So
Yeah.
there's, I don't know if I can say there's one ideal success, but what's, and then I had another student that came into the program. I've had others that came into the program. They necessarily did not continue in the freelance line, but they went into corporate and they're doing really, really well. Right. So for me, the best outcome for my student is when they take all the information that they had acquired or they learned on the program, right, and actually apply it, you know, to their own life, to their own situation, to their own
Mm.
variables, and the best outcomes for themselves come out. Because you can come into the program, you take everything you want to take from my program, and you go out, you list all your cards are laid, and you play your cards right, and gives you results beneficial to you. As long as I can see that, for me, that is success. It does not matter how it comes. It does not matter how. It's just because the
Yeah.
success is to
It's yours,
everybody.
yeah. I love that. So last question before we go to our rapid
Yes.
fire questions. What belief about business or creativity have you changed your mind about completely over the years? Like a notion that you had and now
Hey.
has changed. 360.
Hmm. What notion I had about business, right?
Or creativity, what
I think
belief?
okay. I think for me, from a business POV, has to be it's okay to be a villain in business. Like I really, really thought that people that used to, come across as villain or very mean or very stingy or very difficult. I get it now. I'm not gonna lie, I get it because sometimes you just
Yeah,
have
so
to
you have to be tough.
not be tough, man. I get it. Like the reason why a client quote unquote always I get why clients have tight budgets. I'm sorry. Like I get it. Because you don't understand that the business has to make profit and profit is not God. What the about profit? It's not like I see the business owner not take the profit and go to one island
It's
and eat
going
it. Though.
back
No,
into the
it's
business.
looking like okay, you have 10,000 naira in your hand, you have 10,000 pounds in your hand, whatever amount is in your hand. This is marketing. This is this. Does it mean you have to finish everything? Do you get like you know that you can wake up
Yeah.
tomorrow and one laptop cannot come on and you need to have
I feel like that's a very specific example you just gave.
like, do you know that I need? So even if I have it, sorry, I'm not giving. I will cut it down
Why
to
should
the
I give
bare.
it to
Like,
you?
so you need to prove to me that giving it to you means that okay. So it's not that I'm holding it tight, stingy. Oh no, I'm holding it on the best value that I see. It's like okay. This thing, if you give it, it will move forward. I know. So yeah, that's why I was emphasizing on like the value part in the beginning, like value and all. So yeah, that mindset has really, really changed for me as a business owner. Creativity wise, one of it has to be the one I shared earlier about like the Nigerian cultural context. In fact, it's something I'm coming to even realize a lot more. I'm still learning, I'm still adapting, seeing the different, we're very, very multi-layered in Nigeria. And I've learned that what I was exposed to, while that is really good, maybe from like my upbringing and the community or the social class I find myself in, there are actually other social classes, there are actually other
Yeah.
communities that are equally relevant, that equally have power. So if you want to tap into their resources or their money, or you want to have them over as customers, you have to think like them.
You
You
have
have
to
to
understand how they
understand
think. Yeah.
to understand how to think, right? If the Nigerian, if so, if people always like to Nigerians like to do comedy, like that's Nigerians like drama, if you don't like it, you just have to, find a way to, okay, what other ways around this? And something that just even crossed my mind was there's a movie trending in Nigerian cinemas now, The Call of My Life. And I saw one of the actors on an interview like this, and they asked her like, oh, why is the movie successful? And she's like, yeah, that because the host was like, oh, that people don't really do Nigerians are known for like, comedy, family drama, fights, like, there are movies that all of those things that this. And she's like, well, because people actually forgot that Nigerians actually like romance too. Like I was like, that's like true. Because at the core of it, like people like love. So there's no one
And
fit
that's why we
size
see
to it.
people is Omoni Oboli. That's what she does. It's all romance.
Yeah,
That's her core, and people love it. They keep watching it.
people love it.
We
Like
watch it.
whether you like it, whether you don't like it or not, like everybody loves love. Do
Yeah.
you get? I know
It's
sometimes
a
that's come
nice
across as
escape, isn't it? Just watch
yes.
something about love.
So she has realized that this Nigerian almost see people need love. Like they just want to see their life in fantasy. You gotta give the people what they're asking for. So that's one part I've learned creative
I love
wise.
that. Okay, we're going to end with some rapid fire questions, right?
Okay.
First thing that comes to mind, no overthinking, just say it as you feel it. One word for the gap between creative and entrepreneur.
One word for the gap. Understanding.
Hmm. Explain a
Yeah.
little bit.
This one needs to understand this one. This one needs to understand this one.
Yeah,
That's all.
enough said. Got it. Enough said. The biggest lie the creator economy tells people.
Sorry, please say that again.
The biggest lie the creator economy tells people.
This one is a very hard one. The biggest lie the
There are
creator
too many.
economy tells. There are too many. There are too many. I mean, well, one that just came to mind is the, going virality is all you need. Nah, it's a lie. It's a lie. Virality does not equate money. Virality does not equate to money. Like 1 million followers is not 1 million naira sitting in your account. Yeah.
To waste of time. What creatives undervalue most about themselves?
What creatives undervalue most about themselves?
Mm-hmm.
Their skills, or rather their skills. What creatives actually themselves, if I'm being honest, themselves, they forget that they are the assets. Yes.
Love that. Structure is dash. A word or a phrase.
Structure is what you do in your regular life. Like as I said earlier,
I
structure.
love how you explain this. Like it just simplifies it in the best way. It's just
Yeah.
like incorporating all of these things into your life and making it part
Yeah.
of your everyday process. No,
Mhm.
yeah, I love it. The best investment a creative can make in their business.
The best investment a creator can make in their
Yeah,
business, right?
the creator, yeah.
Themselves, their
Yeah,
growth.
exactly. What you wish someone had told you at the beginning.
Well, don't rush the outcome.
Yeah, I was done. One thing creators should stop doing immediately.
Don't be too emotional. Like separate yourself from your work. Like and I'll be honest, it's a learning process for me too. But I've been learning this one for like years, and I'm still learning. But don't overly attach your
Don't
what
take it too
or
personal.
your yeah. Don't take it too personal, especially when a client is giving feedback. Try and separate it. Just know that the feedback is they're criticizing my work, not me. So I created a bag. The bag is being criticized, not Gucci.
This one is a debate that we always see, in the
Okay.
creator space. Management versus no management.
For who now?
Creators, what do you think?
I mean, wait, that question is very dicey. Is it as having talent
Talent
managers?
management, yes.
Hmm. Hmm. For a start, no management. No management.
Uh,
You just make things complicate things. Yeah.
yeah, from the beginning. So two more. Sustainable means
This is a very tricky question. But the one that comes to my mind is income. Sustainable
fair. Do
means
you know what's
sustainable.
fair?
Okay.
The creative who builds a business has to be willing to.
Hmm. So the creative who builds a business has to be willing to learn. Yeah. Humble yourself and learn. Yeah.
Okay, that is our last question. One more
Okay.
little teaser for you. If you could go back and speak to the version of yourself who was creative but hadn't figured out the business side yet, what would you
Uh-huh.
say to her?
I will go back and tell that my friend or myself that Uche, trust me, the clients will come, the ideal clients will come, the right partnerships will come, the right collaborations will come, the right platforms would come. All you just have to do is just keep at it. Yeah.
I love that. I feel like that was a little therapy session for you just now.
Yes, yes, yes. And actually, I was seeing that girl as I was saying that.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that as you said it. Anyway, Uche, thank you so much for this. Thank you for joining us. I think this is one of those conversations that a lot of people needed to hear, and I hope that they find value and they find something that resonates with them. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
on
you.
Branding
Thank
Book Club.
you.
It's been
Thank you.
amazing to
Thank you.
have you. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you for joining us. I hope you found this conversation insightful and helpful. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, save, do all the things. Thank you for joining us once again and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.